Melissa Strongheart and Krista Wells.
Okay.
I can actually amend my name to reflect that.
Seattle area.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right, we're getting everybody logged in here. And we are recording now. So you guys are first. I guess Bobby's here. We don't have a video on you, Bobby, who logged in there. But so Graham, what's your big thing you'd like to cover today?
Well, there are a couple things I'm interested in, but I suppose the thing that's kind of at the front of my list right now is I'm looking for additional strategies to convert our hot leads, the people we've had in 1 or 2 group classes, into enrollments. I'm finding that our stats are looking really good as far as getting them in the door, getting them into their classes, and now I'm looking for ways to close the deal.
What are you doing now?
Well, right now, the way that we're handling it is they come to usually 2 classes is kind of the benchmark for when we open the conversation for a progress check, which is, where we'll bring them in, we'll cover things like goals and stuff we've talked about, and then from there, we'll go into, the enrollment talk to sort of to get them into the program.
Well, so we have a lot of resources for you on this, and on the member site, there's a whole walkthrough of how to do an intro lesson, and you should be, and Grandmaster Smith is going to follow up on this, I'm sure, a lot. You should be enrolling them, starting the enrollment process at lesson 1, and then enroll them at lesson 2. So it sounds like what you're doing is you're doing a bunch of, you're putting them into some sort of intro thing. And then maybe at lesson 2, you talk to them, or maybe not. And it needs to be more structured. So lesson 1, the normal process is intro 1, and then get them really excited and ready and give them a lot of material so they can get ready for intro 2. Intro 2 would be when we close, and you confirm that both parents are going to be there. So a lot of times,
yes, sir,
you may not show with both parents. And so intro 2's purpose is making sure that they show. But that's a really quick description of it. Mm-hmm. We've got a lot of resources for you that you should be looking through. So your base sales process is kind of the old way, or not the old way. I shouldn't say the old way. The way we're doing it, maybe the old way, but it's what a lot of people gravitate towards. Let them do some classes, and then somewhere later and start an enrollment process. You don't want to do that. The enrollment process starts at the beginning.
Yes, sir. Gotcha. And you actually mentioned another thing that we've been talking about as well, and that is having both parents present at the meeting, which is obviously of crucial importance. But our program is entirely online at the moment, and we're finding that getting both parents into that conversation, into that second conversation, is a bit of a pain point for some of our people because, people got work, they're working from home, they're working from the office, and usually we find ourselves talking with one parent, which, as you mentioned, is far from ideal.
So what you're doing is, my guess, is when you do the first lesson or you call them, you're not saying, we require both parents to be at the lesson. And then they're going to say, well, they're working or whatever. I would reject your idea. I'm sorry to call BS on this, but I would reject the idea that doing things virtual makes it harder to get both parents. Doing things virtual makes it way easier to get both parents. I wish we had started doing this more before. So I would reject that premise that because it's virtual, blah, blah. No, because it's virtual, it's much easier. And what your problem is my guess is you're not saying clearly, we require both parents and any caregivers or anybody involved with transportation or financial decisions to be at the lesson. The first lesson is better, but at the second lesson, no matter what. And if you say required, then the conversation about the schedule goes, oh, will they work? Will they this? Will they that? Okay, we'll figure out when we can do it together.
Yes, sir. I think that emphasizing that requirement is not something that we're doing. So that'd be a good change to make.
Well, for everybody on the call, and we're recording this, the difference, and when Master Oliver says it's very clear, but I think then we say it, and then I hear people say it differently. we require both parents or anybody that's involved with transportation or financial decision to be at the lesson. Just like that. And instead what happens is I tell you guys that, or he tells you that, and then the statement's more like, well, we'd like to have both parents at the lesson, or we require it if you can. No, it's just what I said. We require, because then it's very clear, it's black and white. And then maybe the discussion comes up, they're divorced or this or that. There's 3 families involved. There's, a couple that's 2 guys or a couple that's 2 girls, and they got to bring in with the other couple that's, actually the parent that, fine. But you have permission to ask for that because you're a professional school and you require both parents to be there, or anybody involved with transportation or financial decisions to be at the lesson. So you got to just say it like that. So just to be really clear, and I'm sorry if that overemphasizes it to everybody, but that's where the breakdown ends up happening. And if I say it like that, then the parent has to respond with something. The other thing that I would make sure you guys all do, in fact, I talked about this in my staff meeting with my guys this morning, is that both parents get the email and phone number for both and put them in your reminder system, both. Because even when you do this, sometimes they say yes and they understand at that moment, but the next day when they show up, oh, but so-and-so had to do, and they say work, but it's always rearranging their sock drawer. They say
Yes,
it's
sir.
work, but it's all, whatever. It just, they didn't feel like coming and the other person could come because you're not making a big enough deal about it. But if the reminders go for their email and cell phone, so you do the call, you text and email and confirm both of them separately, that's going to improve both parents showing up. So that I'm sure will help you guys a lot. So number 1, we have a lot of resources on how to properly do the intro lesson. Number 2, both parents, it's required. Just be firm about that.
Yes, sir.
Good. Hopefully that covered.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your input.
I probably stepped on what you were going to cover at a few of those things, but I think, that would be the first step I'd say for him. Did you want to add anything to that, sir?
No, I think you covered it pretty good there. And
Awesome. So what other questions do you guys have? And I'm going to be on for a little bit, and then I've got to bump off for our high-level meeting.
I have a question about movie theaters.
Okay.
So our theaters are just starting to open up with older movies, but the only one that's open near me is like an AMC, a big chain. We've had a lot easier time getting into the smaller local theaters, and I'm wondering how you guys work around more the corporate structure,
Well,
getting
I think it's actually a lot easier to get into the corporate ones. It's just that I think what you're saying is you've had a lot easier time to get into the little chain ones because they were free, or you tried to talk them into letting you do it for free or for not, or for discussion. You don't walk up to an AMC theater and say, hey, we want to do this thing. What you do is you go to NCR or NCM.com, National Cinema Media, and they're the advertising agent for most all theater chains in the country. And what they're going to try to sell you is maybe movie screen time and put your poster up at the movie theater and all kinds of crap. You don't want any of that stuff. What you want is what they call a tabling. And the tabling is to have your booth there. And generally you pay $500. Sometimes people pay $850 or sometimes people pay $250. It depends on the theater. But AMCs are super easy to work with that way. We've never had any big problem with that, but you're just not going through the right path. If you walk up to their managers are busy. They're not the ones that sell the marketing. They don't even know that this company exists. They just do whatever marketing corporate tells them to do. Okay, so what'll happen is you'll contact NCM, NC National Cinema Media, Nancy, Charlie,
Mary.
Mary. Okay, yeah, NCM.com, and then you'll find you search for their theater, and AMC. It's owned by AMC and Lowe's, I think, or AMC and another big chain. So that's absolutely perfect for AMC.
Okay, awesome.
You won't have much problem. What you'll end up having happen is that you'll have you'll have to fill out some forms, and they'll ask for you to do certain things and put a map, a layout of your what you're going to set up as a table, and it's going to sound like it's really restrictive, and the reality of it is it's not really restrictive at all. You kind of just do the table the way we describe you should do it, and there's a, if you look up movie procedures, it shows a picture of the table and what to do and everything. And I think you're going to have really good results. Will it be as big as during non-COVID season, the big blockbuster time? Probably not, but you're going to get people that are willing to go outside. And so I think that's, the movie theaters are always really great to do. I think sometimes we just get spoiled because we hear about, like, Ken Gibson got 200 appointments in one weekend at Avengers, but if I had told you before you heard that you do a movie event and it's this time of the world and you got 50 appointments, that'd still be pretty damn good.
Okay.
So
Awesome. Thank you.
And the pricing that they usually charge is in the neighborhood. Now, this was pre-COVID. I don't know if they're doing something special, and you might even ask them for that. Because I tell you, I'm a big movie buff, as is Master Oliver. And I've been going to the movies in our area since they opened up, and they're nowhere near what they used to be. But, they're pretty scarce. So, don't expect a lot, but if you can get in there rather reasonable, it used to be anywhere between 500 to 1,000 for the weekend, and that's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And make sure you have your spin wheel and all the stuff that Master Moody was saying, and we have all that outlined in detail. But do press your point that says, well, I'm not sure how how successful they're going to be because they're just opening up, and I know they're not going to be like they used to be. So are you guys, if they do quote you somewhere between 500 or 1,000, say, are you guys doing any kind of special pricing since the attendance is nowhere near what it was before? And because they do negotiate, they aren't really, it's not all written in stone. We've had a lot of school members, and all calling the same organization, but from different parts of the country, and all get it for a different price, but somewhere between 500 and 1,000.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes even less. And don't be afraid to say to them either. That's everybody should listen to what Master Smith said, is negotiate. Don't be afraid to do something like, we'll do the next every other month for the next year. And if you talk them into lowering the price, because they don't enforce those contracts as far as I've ever seen. So I'm not afraid to ever, depending on the company, I'm generally not afraid of saying, well, I don't know if this is going to work, so I really need a good price. And they go back and forth. And one of the things I'll say, well, if we commit to doing it for the next, 6 times over the next year, is that okay? They'll always say okay. And if you don't want to do it because it wasn't productive, you just tell them, it's not productive, I don't want to do it. And it's really not like they're going to go, it's not like you're a lease for your business, but they're going to go after your car. So I use that as another negotiating tool if it's necessary. Okay. But everybody here should be looking at movie theaters. I know it may not be as obvious as Grandmaster Smith said, because there's not as much traffic and they're not announcing James Bond, and they're supposed to be doing Wonder Woman on Christmas Day, but there's limitations. But look for those and look for other events. It's October, for goodness sake. There's a lot of people that are still doing, a lot of organizations still doing like trunk or treats or pumpkin things or whatever. It depends on people's comfort in the area. And will it be as big of an attendance as last year? Maybe not, but who cares? I mean, these events can be super productive.
And Master Moody, talking about Halloween, a lot of our schools had success with the little card that was where they put a piece of candy on it and gave out to our students. We put them in packs of 20, and we would ask our members how many trick-or-treaters do they get coming to their house. Now, I'm sure everybody this year is going to say, I have no idea how many are going to be there this year. But, you can give them a bag or two, which is 20 in each one. And each one has a candy taped to a card that's good for 2 weeks free. You can even put in there 2 weeks free and a free uniform if that's your normal format. But giving those out to your students covers a lot too. We found also, those little plastic pumpkins, with the little handle. we would take those and put about 20 in one of those little buckets and take them around to the businesses, like the dry cleaners and the hair places and different places where you would normally put your rack cards and say, this is for your trick-or-treaters when they come in during Halloween. And, kids will come in there and, the bank used to do that all the time. If you brought your kid or your dog, even your dog, they would give them a dog bone, or if you brought your kid, they'd give them a lollipop. So those kind of little things like that are the things that you want to look for. And, one of our key things that you guys have to get good at during this Quick Start program is all the different marketing opportunities, coming up with the list of all the things to do. And that's why we put those 3 videos together for everybody on our Quick Start program, so you guys could look through there. And for you guys that have been here longer than others, you might, have looked at it a couple months ago and haven't seen it for a while, but you're going to find as you get more into our program and you look at those things, you're going to see it differently than you did the first time. So look back through those, and when you look at them, don't look at it like you're watching a movie. Look at it as you're taking a college course and you're having to take notes. And so you have then, by the time you finish watching it, you have a list. And on one side of the list, it's going to list all the things that you know how to do that you heard them talk about. And on the other side are the things that you don't know how to do, but you want to learn how to do, and that's on that side. And then what I'm going to do is start implementing the left side at the same time. I can start learning how to do some of the things on the right side, but I've got to implement at least 12 to 15 things minimum that I'm going to be marketing. And that, remember, your marketing is divided into 3 areas. You've got your internal marketing, so you got to be doing a few things from that. Your external marketing, those are the things like we were just talking about with, bandit signs, rack cards, any of that Halloween kind of stuff. The movie theaters and school programs and all that kind of stuff. And then your internet marketing, which is either Facebook or Google or some of that kind of stuff. So those are your 3 main big categories. Make sure you're doing a few things on all of those, and then track that marketing. See, don't just throw all your marketing out there and then when it comes back in, know where it came from, so you know which things to double down on and which ones that need maybe you need a little more training on how to make those successful that they weren't as successful. But we find a lot of people, their marketing is not a plan. It's just something they think of, oh, I haven't done this for a while. Maybe I'll do that this month. Or they think of 1 or 2 things to do this month rather than having 12 to 15 or more things that they should be doing.
Well, it really, as Master Oliver said, it'd be 20 or more. I mean, we're trying to be conservative because a lot of you guys are only doing like 4 or 5.
Yeah, but that's why I said 2015 minimum.
Yeah. I mean, your target is, and as Grandmaster Smith says, we've got those videos. The other thing you should be looking at is the A to Z. Grandmaster Smith, they've got the A to Z a marketing plan. If you just look up marketing plan on the Facebook group, the Mile High Karate marketing plan, and then there's a marketing checklist. So the marketing checklist will help you make up these things that Grandmaster Smith is saying that to make sure you have enough things going on at any given time.
That is in your Quick Start meeting. In your Quick Start link website there. And if you have trouble locating any of that stuff, just give Bob Dunn a call and he'll show you exactly where it is. And,
how many of you guys have taken the checklist and gone through it? Okay, we got Aaron, 1 person. Okay.
David, a little bit.
Ms. Young, have you gone through the checklist, the marketing checklist? David did a little bit. Anybody else gone through the marketing checklist?
I'm pretty sure that Grandmaster Steve and our team have gone through it. Not exactly sure. That's been
So if you look at at our high level meeting, we didn't do the one today because we have our big event that we're doing. But if you like Paul Pendergast, he's got 2 schools in New Jersey, very successful operator. Each school does, in the 40-50,000 range for each school individually. So we got some echo. Thanks, Jeff, for muting. He said I remember at one of our meetings, he says he just has the marketing checklist and the Mile High Karate marketing plan, the year marketing plan sitting on his desk. So it's sitting on his desk so that, as he's doing marketing planning for every month, he can look at that and make sure he's covered all the bases. So if you haven't done that, you're really it's a big miss right now. I'm not trying to give you guys a hard time, but the marketing checklist that Grandmaster Oliver did was absolutely fantastic. And we use it in our staff meetings too. So we go through that, and that's a double check. Sometimes we get people saying, well, I just don't know what to do. If I knew what to do, it'd all be all right. Well, there's not really any excuse for that. You've got that marketing checklist, and you've got a lot of resources there. So download that. Everybody, if you have not gone through that and you don't have it sitting on your desk, download it today. And that'll give you a big head start in making sure that you've got enough stuff going on.
And then make up your own, you'll design your own based on that information. And, this is already, we're already past the first week of October. And, when October 1st hits, I should have my marketing plan, by the 15th of last month, I should have my marketing plan set for October, because a lot of things you have to plan ahead to get them initiated. You might have to order things, whether they're bandit signs or rack cards or Halloween stuff or anything like that. Whether you're going to do a direct mail campaign, whether you're going to do a buddy day or, so remember, always go to all 3, have all 3 on your chart, and then put a couple things under each one that you're going to do. You've got your internal things, which are like birthday parties or buddy days, and some of these things can even be done virtually. So, don't think just because you can't have a live event at your school, was it, who was on our call from there?
That was me, sir.
Yeah, y'all can't do everything live. You can still do these things virtually. We've had good success with virtual birthday parties and buddy days and things like that. So keep that in mind, but get your list put together ahead of time, and then analyze what's going on, what's working, what you've implemented, check it off, what you haven't implemented, and then start tracking what comes in on each one of those. So now you know what to do for November, because the middle of October, I'm going to find out what's working and what I did this month that I'm going to carry over to next month, what I might not carry over to next month, but I might do differently for next month. So you got to stay on top of your marketing, because there's no way to grow your school unless you get more people coming in, because we know that nobody keeps 100% retention. You're going to lose some people. We try to get that percentage down to a 1 to 3%, but there's some schools during the pandemic that are having even higher numbers than that. And so the bottom line is, if you have people going out faster than they're coming in, then your active count is going to go down. And if your active count is going down, then you've got a 99% chance of your gross going down. And the only reason I say a 99% rather than 100% is because you can Band-Aid it for a month or two with some paid in fulls or internal stuff like renewals and things like that. But if you don't have new people coming in, then that gross will not be going up. That's the key part.
So we were kind of covering marketing. What other things marketing wise do you guys want to cover now for this part of our time that Grandmaster Smith and I can help you with? So if you're going to have 20 things, I'm sure some of you guys have some of them. Aaron asked a good one. And I would recommend that everybody put events and movies on the list. There's festivals and there's stuff going on. Don't everybody talk at once. What other marketing are you guys doing? Well, even if it's not one you think you want help with, what are you guys doing so that you can give ideas to everybody else?
Well, we're having
We're
a
posted-
Go ahead, Kyle.
Kyle?
we are I mean, the first one we got this month is our parents night out this Friday, which is going to be a costume party, encouraging bringing their friends. We also have our pumpkin tournament that we have going on. And then the last week of this month is actually going to be Bring a Buddy Week, the entire week. So those are a couple of the.
So you got 3 buddy things. What's the pumpkin tournament? Are you like carving pumpkins, or are you just having a martial arts tournament calling the pumpkin tournament?
Well, it's a martial arts tournament, and we're just calling it the Pumpkin Bash, or I don't know exactly the name.
Why should I bring? How are you going to get people to come to that?
Well, that one there, I think I think our goal was that one was probably more towards retention, getting ready for the renewal blitz coming up in the next couple months. So kind of get everybody, making the students, covering that retention portion.
Sure.
There.
Yeah, I think that would be really helpful. My question is what could you do to get some friends to come? There's a lot of ways to get friends. Is that tournament, I'm assuming it's internal in your school?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what could you do to get friends to come or get people to bring their friends?
Off the top of my head, just bringing them to watch them. I mean, everybody's got friends that, I'm sure they'll enjoy having them compete or watch them compete.
Yeah, encouraging them to bring their friends. And maybe, what we've done at those kind of tournaments before, I wish I had one handy. They're really cheap to print online. You might have time to do it. You can print tickets that look like a concert ticket. They're beautiful, color tickets, and they're almost nothing to print. So if you go look up printing tickets on online, I don't have a vendor handy in my head, but there's tons and tons of vendors. Usually the way I figure it is whichever's got the best deal, usually they're running specials. But you can get tickets printed for that tournament to bring a friend and give it to them. So you could also just give them buddy passes and tell them to bring their friend. But the buddy pass implies you're talking your friend into signing up. The ticket or a flyer or something so that they can bring up to 2 spectators. Because of social distancing, we know everybody wants to bring everybody, all their friends, to watch them compete. Well, they may not have even thought that in their head, but this is what I'm going to tell them. Everybody wants to bring people to watch, friends to watch you compete. So I'm going to give you a ticket for 2 people, and you set the number up at 2. Then what'll happen is they'll be more likely to bring people. Okay. So you can always ask the question, even if it's a retention activity, kind of don't give up on that. How could I get people to bring friends? Well, that's a good reason. I think that's a really good reason.
Thank you, sir.
And then when they come in, it's really important. Do you think you could do that, or does that seem like it would help?
No, that's definitely something we can implement.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to go to a ticket place. I mean, basically, you just go to your printers, because all you're doing is just printing up a little rectangular thing that's going to say, about your event and special guest or whatever you want to put on it and make it look kind of cool, right?
Yeah, you can do that if it's last minute. But if you guys look at the ticket printing stuff, you'll be amazed at what you can get for almost nothing if you order like 200 tickets or 300 tickets.
And Kyle said something important that I don't want people to miss out on too, is that when you're planning your activities for the month, internal events, things that you're doing with the school, remember that everything is either a buddy or a referral event, or it's a retention to develop the students you have. When you do a Halloween party, for instance, well, that's a thing for your students to get together that will help retention and get them to know each other. But it can also be a buddy event too. It's just like the tournament you were talking about, Kyle, is kind of to get the students a little, engaged and a reason to train a little bit more and give them something for doing this extra training. But everything you do at the school can always be a buddy event too. And if you always look at it as I call it a 2-edged sword, right? You got a double way to cut with it. You've got one that's going to help your retention and get your students excited. You've got another one that's going to help the buddy system, help bring other people in or get more people engaged. You follow me?
Yes, sir. Thank
If
you.
you just kind of look at it from both sides, you'll be able to, anything you do like that, that you want to, do to help retention, to help your students, know that you can also turn it into a buddy thing if you just look at it a little bit differently.
Well, when you think about 3 R's: retention, recruitment, and renewals. Retention, recruitment, and renewals. So each one of those events can be all 3 things. If there's somebody ready to renew and move on to leadership, do it then. I mean, don't like schedule it for a week later. So whenever you have these events, they're really exciting. When you bring a guest like Grandmaster Smith or me, when we come out to these things, people always do a lot of, they get excited about things and they renew. And it's just something to kind of knock people in the head a little bit to make them do different things and additional things. So everybody should put that on their list. We're saying that for Kyle, but that's a good thing for everybody to get on your list. I like the idea of doing a tournament, and some of them could do it virtually if you want to. So you could put that on your list. So that's one other thing. That's why we're talking about, so you guys get more stuff down on your list. What other things are you guys doing for marketing? Kyle, you can let us know again too, but anything else? If nothing else, then you won't give any members. That's kind of pretty straightforward. If you don't have many things going on and then you tell us, well, I'm not getting enough members, it's pretty straightforward what the issue would be.
We used to do this when I worked for National Karate, and it worked really well, and then I stopped for some reason. So we're bringing back our VIP cards every time someone gets their first white belts. We give them 2 VIP cards, and we make it feel like it's a special thing. You can only get 2. You bring your 2 best friends. You can't bring anybody extra, so that way they really think about the people they want to bring with them. And that worked really well a couple of years ago, and then, like I said, we just stopped. So we're bringing that back now that we're getting some new people in the door.
Well, that's a common thing. Something works really well and we stop doing it. It happens all the time, right? When you do that,
so well, we never did it again.
Yeah, I know. One thing Master Oliver will
That's
tell
why
you.
I told everybody to write that list down. This is what we did in October. Now I planned, make sure that you plan your marketing, because if you plan it, then, if you don't plan, then you plan to fail, right? So we've got to plan our marketing out, and then we got to track the results. But then once I have it on my list, and now I'm looking at next month's list, well, what I'm doing in the process is I'm building my marketing plan for my annual marketing plan, right? It all comes together after 12 months. I keep it all in one book, and that way you don't lose it. It doesn't get misplaced somewhere. You keep it all in one book. That's this is my marketing plan for October. And then now when I'm looking in November, now I go back to October and I see what worked, and then I carry it forward. On that sheet, I post the results off of each one of those. How many leads did I get? How many appointments? How many intros? How many enrollments? And then I get a grand total at the bottom that says my total leads for the month. And now I have a marketing stat that can help me actually produce marketing and generate marketing from a set plan of things that have worked or not worked, not just grabbing things out of the air and I don't know what works.
Yeah, and one thing Master Oliver will tell you that when you're giving out passes is to isolate faces. So that's a really common tool in any kind of sales or marketing process. When you're asking somebody to bring a friend, well, who would you bring? And you just said it really well, Aaron. They're like best friends. But we don't want to give it to them and say, bring your best friends. We want to say, well, who's your 2 best friends? Or who are the 2 best friends that you'd like to have come in? And then we even take those cards and we'll write their names on the card. So now they know who they're going to go invite. It gives them a direction. If you give people passes and say, yeah, give these out to your friends, well, then we'll give you a reward or something. That just never works really well. But isolating faces. And what Aaron said was important. He did it for new members for intros. That's really good. We do that at the point of sale. But you can also do that for everybody else in your school, Aaron, if you haven't been doing it, or for everybody, is just have a nice conversation with them. And, who would you like to bring to the tournament? For Kyle, who would you like to bring to the tournament? Well, we can only allow 2. Here's your ticket. Let's put their name on it so you can go invite them.
And
That will make a big difference.
Along
What-
that same thing, Aaron, is in the enrollment folder, and I hope everybody's using that enrollment folder, and we'll talk about that, and I'd like to talk about that next, because it's one of the key things to get your students pre-framed for a black belt training too. But in that folder, besides having all that black belt pre-framing material and rules of the dojo and procedures for testing, I mean, there's all kinds of valuable information in that enrollment folder that is on the Quick Start site, and it's in an editable version, so you can go in and edit it to put your own school terminology and words or whatever you want to replace with what. But in that pocket, you know, the folder that we give them, it's a folder that don't put it in a 3-ring binder, because they can open it and take stuff out. We don't want them to take any of that out. The things we want them to take out are going to be in the inside pocket of the folder. So the folder we give them is one of those 3, and what do they call those, Master Moody, with that have the little metal things you fold down and keeps them inside?
I don't know what they call those. I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about. Those little clips like at the
The
doctor.
little pocket on the inside, and on the inside the pocket, I have the character. You know, Mindy?
Yes, the 2-pocket folder with Brad's.
That's it.
And they're
VRA.
available on sale right now in most big box stores because of back to school supplies clearing
Okay.
out.
Perfect. And they got the 2 pockets in them. Well, in the 1 pocket, I'm putting the character worksheets in there. And if you're not implementing those character worksheets, you're missing a big part of your program. And in that, I also put a card that's good. It's a gift certificate for a free birthday party, a $200 value. I also put in there a free pizza party, $200 value, and I explain what those are. I also put in, like Aaron was talking about, the 2 guest passes for their friend. And I try to get their friend's name, like Master Moody said, to make sure that those 2 have a home, that somebody brings somebody from those 2 guest passes. So if you have that in your enrollment folder, we also have their class ID card. So that way we're keeping a physical attendance card of each student. And if you have those, then you're going to find that when you start using that enrollment folder, and I just did a presentation on our I think we posted it on our Facebook page. We just did it a week or 2 ago, for me doing a presentation on how to do the enrollment folder. And if you go into a Facebook page, you can do a search on that. I think I did it with Jason Purcell. He was playing the role of the parent, and then we were doing how you present that enrollment folder. And why do we present that enrollment folder? See, when you give out that enrollment folder, I had some people that thought they were supposed to give it out during the intro because they thought it was going to help them with the enrollment. It's not designed to help them get somebody enrolled. It's designed to pre-frame them and prep them for a renewal after that. The character worksheets, people got confused because I had people tell me they had a version. Well, I do a version of that. Well, we've tried all the different versions. These character worksheets work a certain way and accomplish a certain thing, and that is get our students a lot of stripes on their belt. Because if they're getting a lot of stripes on their belt from these character worksheets, that means that they're doing things at home to help mom or dad, or they're doing things around the house that the parents are going to be happy that they're doing. And if the parents seeing them do all these things, such as the healthy eating, such as the job list, such as the self-discipline, such as your martial arts practice sheet, which one did I leave out? The reading one. So if they're doing those kind of things and they're earning those stripes, then the parents are going to see that they're engaged, and it's going to be easier to retain those students. It's going to be easier to renew those students. You know, we make a big deal. If you're not doing a big graduation and then presenting medals and trophies for those that got all those stripes, then your stripe system will always be way low. You know, we have ours way high because we put them on a pedestal for doing it. they get a medal if they fill out any one of the sheets. I had one school tell me that, I said, are you using all the worksheets? And they said, well, one or two of them. And I said, what do you mean one or two? And they said, well, I tried to do all of them, but everybody complained. They said that was too much work. And I said, what do you mean 5 was too much work? They don't have to do all 5. The 5 was so they could select the ones they wanted to do, so they could just get 5 stripes. Each one of those sheets was worth 3 stripes. If they filled out the whole sheet, they would get a medal. If they filled out one section, they get a stripe. There's 3 sections on each paper. You follow me? So these were set up to give everybody different opportunities to do the things that they like to do. Then we found when we gave them a medal for completing a sheet, we found that more people were completing sheets. When we gave trophies for the ones who got the most stripes on their belt, we found that people started getting even more stripes. And then when we went to renew them, our parents didn't have to say, well, I don't know, he doesn't like it too much, he doesn't come much. And well, if he's engaged in getting those stripes and coming to class consistently, then you're gonna have a lot easier percentage of renewals. Now, we always said that your enrollment or your renewal always happens from the floor. It's not from the office where you have to sell the program. What you're doing is showing them how successful the program is. And then when you approach them, it'll be a lot easier.
Yeah, does anybody else have any questions about stripes or anything like that? Because I think, we may want to spend some time on marketing if that's what you're, whatever your most important topics are here.
I had a quick question about the awards, Master Smith.
Yeah.
So we did at our extravaganza, I awarded like the top 2 people who earned the stripes. So like our first place was like, they had 39 stripes. And so other than like the most stripes, and you said the medals per sheet, what are some of the other ways that you award? Like, do you do awards for the most self-discipline, the most book club, or are those the only 2 that you do?
No, remember, if they complete a sheet, they get a medal. It's called the Self-Discipline Award if they are turned in their self-discipline sheet. It's called a Healthy Eating Award if they turned in their healthy eating sheet, right? And so whichever sheet it is, they're getting a medal. Well, these students have been getting stripes in the class from the medals and things. What we did is, you have a test with 200 people and you give out 2 trophies. Well, that's not much incentive out of 200 people. If you have 100 people and you give out 2, that's not much incentive. So what we started doing is dividing our test into different groups of about 15 people. So in a beginner group of kids a certain age, we would have, we would kind of divide the test out evenly at the end. After we've handed out their belts and diplomas, then we say, in class, the last thing we're giving out are our MVP awards. These are the students who did the most stripes on their belt. And because they went above and beyond what we asked them to do, because remember, you only had to do 15 to pass your test, besides the physical part, right? But you had to have at least 5. And now we've had students that had even more. So we're going to select those out of each group. We're going to pick the top 3. So then we give them a little trophy. You have like a 6-inch and an 8-inch and maybe a 10-inch, right? Out of each one of those groups. Now I have out of 100 people and I divided into groups of 15. I've got 6 or 7 different groups. And now I have my first runner-up, my second runner-up, or I have my second runner-up and then my first runner-up and then the champion, right? Of that group, of that. And then out of all of those, we pick our overall MVP. And that was the one who got the most out of all of those. And that overall MVP, we give a bigger trophy. And, when we started, we were doing like an 18-inch. Well, last graduation, our MVP had 180 stripes. So this had been accumulating. You know, at first it was 30, and then it was 40 was the most, and then 60, and then 80, and then 100. And then people say, how do you get all those stripes on the belt? And so that's why our colors of our stripes is not based on what the sheet was. In other words, we don't give a yellow stripe for discipline and a blue stripe for eating, and because it doesn't matter, they're all character worksheets, right? But we gave a value to each one of those stripes. So blue was a 1 stripe, you know, a green was a 10 stripe, red was a 20 stripe. So you had like a 1, a 5, a 10, and a 20, kind of like a $10 bill, 20 bucks, exactly, right? And that way they would all fit on their belt, because we put the colored stripes only on one side of their belt. Mm-hmm. On the other side are their progress stripes. Those are the black stripes. And that is when we do their progress checks. So that's for curriculum. The other side is for the character worksheets. And then we added one more thing, because we wanted the MVP to be more visible. So what we started doing, besides the trophy they also got a special belt. And the belt was a red, white, and blue belt. And they wore it to class during that next testing cycle. And on the white part of it, because it's blue on one end, red on the other from Century with white in the middle, we'll write in their name and the month and year that they earned it. And they wear that for one testing cycle, and then they turn it back in and we present it to the next one. So we have about 4 or 5 different ones based on size, but only one person, that overall MVP, gets to wear it. So now every class we're talking about, and then we'll leave we now give a 3-foot trophy. We'll leave that 3-foot trophy on the instructor's desk or right by the front where they come in for the next 3 or 4 weeks. So they get a chance, everybody get a chance to see. Now they all want to earn that big trophy. And now we're going to praise that person with the belt and say, that's the trophy and he's the one that earned it. And let's give him a big hand. And then when the belt fills up, and we've had several fill up now because it's been several years, we hang it up and we have a plaque that has the names of those people that won that belt. So now they get kind of enshrined in the school, and now that becomes more. So you see how you can kind of make things more productive, or gives them an opportunity to expand upon it a little bit more. Does that all make sense?
Yes, sir.
Any questions, anybody on any of those things I said, and how to implement that, or where to order that? I mean, Century has that belt, and of course the trophies, you know where to order, and the medals. You know, and I tell you, the medals, I tend to get 5 different ones, because we have 5 different awards, and I'll do 100 of each one, and then I'll kind of restock them as we go. So we have all those in place. And the trophies, I'll try to order a different set each tournament. Each test that comes up, because they're only every couple months.
Right. So did anybody, Grandmaster Smith asked if you guys had any questions on that. Any other questions?
I just have a question on the medals. Are you doing custom that say like self-discipline on nope, just plain medals?
No, and I find, because kids get so many medals over such a period of time, if you have the same medal, then they get kind of bored of the same medal, right? So that's why I order 100 of each one. And then when I run low on those, I'll order another 100 of a different medal. So that way I'll be able to get more, you know, they'll have a whole collection of these different medals, right? You follow me on that?
So make sure, and you know, one idea there, and you can use medals for a lot of things. You can get stickers done really cheap if you want to do like something to brand your school with your URL and phone number and something like a nice message. And you can get those done for like nothing. You get a big roll of them, and then you can slap them on the back of the medals, and then that makes them branded for your school. So that's another way you can do that. But any other marketing things, because I think we need to spend a little bit more time. I've only got about 8-9 minutes before I need to jump, and then Grandmaster Smith's got you. Marketing, one thing Mindy pointed out was Cobra Kai is going to be opening sometime in January or February. Kind of latching onto that and doing some marketing there. what other marketing things have you guys got, or we can talk about Cobra Kai if you want. What other marketing things would you guys like to make sure we cover?
One thing that I forgot we're doing is for Columbus Day, they're like moving it to the next Monday. We're doing a community day camp. So like for all the people in schools that are not going to be in school. So that's one more thing we're doing this month.
So one thing that we haven't talked about is schools, and you guys should have that in your marketing plan. You should be able, Kyle, to get those flyers out to the schools, or figure out how you're going to get them to local businesses and other. Are you going to charge for that?
No, it's a free community camp.
So it's a free community camp. Okay. Well, in that case, then, yeah, just get the flyers out and make sure, because it's a free community camp for everybody, businesses will be happy to put your flyers out. Sometimes we've gotten grocery stores to stuff goes in the bags. All that, lately it's been a little less common, but it doesn't hurt to ask whether you can get grocery stores to do it. So when you think about one of these things you're doing that's outreach, and even if it's not, I mean, you could do it for the tournament you asked about before, but something that's outreach, like, excuse me, that everybody can attend. Well, why not get other businesses around? Why not get other organizations, church organizations, schools to be involved? And the worst thing that happens, about schools, if they don't want to hand out your flyers, at least then you start a conversation with them about the menu of things you can do with them. So there's a lot of ways you can expand what you're setting up into much bigger arenas. Does that make sense? Has anybody got anything going on with schools this last couple of weeks?
I literally cannot get the school we did our little event with to call me back and take my money.
Okay, so you did an event where you raised money for them, and then what happened?
Yeah, so they, Master Smith helped me with getting prepared for this really off-the-wall little booth event that we had. It wasn't the open house we expected, so we had to approach people while they were waiting in line to pick up their Chromebooks and their instruments and stuff.
Didn't I talk about this too?
Yeah, I believe so.
And when they paid money at the school or at the booth area, that money was supposed to go to the school, right?
So we didn't have the opportunity to collect anything there. So we did a portion of our $497 down would go back to the school.
Okay.
And so now I have a check written, and I've emailed, I've called, and I can't get anyone to just take the money.
So let me interrupt you a little bit here. What you just said is the big problem. You emailed and called. Even during COVID, people exist at these businesses or schools, right? So whenever we're talking about schools, and you always want to think of the media as lubricating the process, not really the process. If you email, call, send them a letter, send them a big trash can full of cool marketing material, which is a fun way to do stuff, send them a FedEx package, all that stuff can happen. And it's really easy for them to completely ignore you. What's hard for them to ignore is after you did that, or while you're doing that in that process, is show up. So whenever I hear this, we did this, you call an email and text them if you have their cell, information. Do it on day one, and day two, show up. Don't do it on day one and then 2 weeks later show up. That's problem one, is you show up. And, knock on the door, you've got a mask on, you're very careful about social distancing, and you show up. So that's, to me, the number one. The other thing that I would always say, so you did this event, and that was with their permission or not?
A little gray area.
I vaguely remember it wasn't with their permission. So even if it's not with their permission, which is fine, by the way, guys, set something up and let them come talk to you. Go, oh, we don't allow that here. Oh, okay. Now you can start a conversation. So whenever there's an event you're doing, let's say you're doing an event that's a 1-day event or a 4-week event, whatever you're doing with the school, before that event is over, rule number one is I've scheduled the next event. So let's say you're doing this thing and you don't really have permission or whatever. I would still go over to the principal, over to the, the people in the office and say, well, we're going to be giving you, let them know you're going to give them money or whatever. And our script is this: would like to talk to whoever it is. I already know their name because I can look it up on the website, Principal Jones or whoever I want to talk to, for a maximum of 5 minutes about what we can donate to the school. not how we can fundraise, not how we're going to do karate in their school and break bricks with our heads and have their kids break bricks with their heads and, you know, get blood all over the ground. We're going to say, we'd like to talk to them about, for a maximum of 5 minutes, about what we are going to donate to the school or what we can donate to the school. So then the next question, oh, you guys are going to donate something? You know, yeah, let me show you how you do that. So while you're doing the event, though, this is so critical, everybody needs to hear, you have to schedule the next thing. If you wait till the end of the event and then you try to come back, you might as well just assume you're starting over each time. But if I'm doing the event and those people are with us, the teachers like you, which they almost always do because this is an unusual thing that they don't have to do work for, then you schedule the next event. And the same goes if you don't have anything going on with schools. You go in and use that same script. The other script you should write down, and this is in our school domination PowerPoint too, that first one that I said, that's on the Facebook group. The other script you should write down, sometimes they'll be like, no, we're not doing anything. No, we're not doing anything. The script then during this COVID time is, oh, okay, so you guys don't need any money then, right? 100% of them are going to go, well, no, we'd like some money. Then what you say is, some people are not writing this down. What you would say is, oh, great. Well, then let's help you with the donation. Oh, you would do that? So you'd say, well, great. We'll help you with the donation. They're going to say, well, oh, you would do that? Sure. And then you show them what you'll do, which is we get the partner in education letter, a whole bunch of options of what we can do. Some of it can make them money. Some of them are just services for them. But again, the script is, oh, so you guys don't need any money at all then? Well, yeah, we need some money. Oh, well, let us help you with a donation. Oh, you guys would do that? What are you going to do? Write us a check for $1 million? This is how we're going to help you. See, now you can start the conversation. And with that, I've got to kind of run. Any quick questions on that? Because I've got to get to our other meeting. And Grandmaster Smith can follow up with you guys on that. But that's a way everybody here, unless you're not working with kids, should be dealing with stuff with schools. Even Dave Harris, who's listening, you're doing one-on-one stuff. You still should be working with schools if you got anybody in that age group, because that's where they are. Churches and schools. Okay, that should be on your list. Any questions on that? Must have been a perfect script because nobody asked questions. All right.
You had that posted on the Facebook page.
Under school domination, you can see the first script, which is we'd like to talk to the principal for maximum 5 minutes about what we're going to donate to the school. And that has a whole bunch of stuff you can use. All the things you can do. You can do a million things with these schools. And you want to be able to offer them options. After school enrichment's the best, but then you can do a bunch of other stuff.
Go ahead, Masterman.
Yes. So, example, how do you do? Because we have in the PTA and the parents conference, and public school is a lot of regulation, and private school they have own things. So how do you go approach for public school and the private school if you have?
It's the same. They all want donations, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
So I'm asking that how do say you need a donation? That's great.
Well, you use the script that we said is we like to talk to you about what we want to donate to the school. Well, they want donations. And then you show them what you're going to do. You've got to get them out of the mindset of thinking it's fundraising because they've already got fundraising like they're doing cookie sales or a lot of schools now are saying we're just not going to do any fundraising. They're throwing their arms up and because of coronavirus, they're not going to do any. But they still need money or they still need help. And everything you did before could be done virtually with them. And there's a whole bunch of things we've gone over. I'll have to run and Grandmaster Smith can go over some details of it. But all of that with public and private schools, and you mentioned PTOs. You do the same thing with the PTOs. We just show up at the PTO meetings. We don't ask permission. Those are public meetings. So you show up, whether it's virtual or in person, just show up. And I will tell you 100% of the time, and I'm not exaggerating, we've got something working with the PTO. We haven't one time not got something working with a PTO when we just shown up for their meeting. And a lot of times, even though there's restrictions or you think there's restrictions, number one, the restrictions aren't really true. They're just saying it because they don't want to bother with you. But number two, the PTOs can sometimes circumvent the whole process Because if the PTO is raising money, it doesn't matter what the principal decides. So, all right, well, let Grandmaster Smith take it from there. Good talking to you guys.
Yeah, and we have several links to how, you know, what you offer them or what the options are for them that you can do. You know, one of the things that we had a lot of success with was the after school enrichment program, which is a 6-lesson program to teach them some of the martial arts character development. And it talks about respect and discipline. And when you're teaching them those kind of things, and you tie it in with anti-bullying and things like that, that are real, hot points these days, that schools really want to learn how to control that, and what do they need to do for that, and how to develop their confidence. And so when you do something like that and you charge $20 and the money all goes to the school, and then we do a graduation at the end of the 6 lessons at the school. Some people even did them virtually during this pandemic thing, and did a graduation and then converted them from there into the regular school. But that whole procedure is on our member site for you to take a look at. And a lot of stuff was posted on the Facebook site today. What I wanted to cover with everybody, and I posted it a couple of weeks ago, and then I reposted it today before the meeting. I really, you know, my goal for all of our schools is to become $1 million school. And the problem that a lot of new members have is they don't know where to start. You know, I want to be $1 million school. There isn't anybody that I would ask the question, who out here wants to be $1 million school? Well, it's not like every hand isn't going to go up, right? Everybody wants to be $1 million school. The question is, do you know how to become $1 million school? Well, nobody showed you. It's not like you're stupid, you can't get it. It's just that nobody showed you how to do it. The same way you got to be a black belt in martial arts, you didn't just go become a black belt by yourself. You had somebody show you how to do it, and they had a system to take you through. And if you followed all their steps and you were a white belt and then you were a gold belt, well, that's basically what we did with our program. You know, our mastery development program, and the way that we fine-tuned it over the years has developed more and more $1 million schools. And the ones that become those $1 million schools, the only thing that they say when we ask them, wow, how did you become $1 million school? And they say, we just followed what you told us. Because what everybody does, it's kind of obvious, but a lot of people, when we tell you you need to do A, B, C, D, you look at it and you go, okay, I think I'll do C. That looks good. I can do that. And you don't do the other steps. And the process has to be that you have a system to go through. And that's why we started that Quick Start system. And the Quick Start was designed for one reason. Our Quick Start program was designed because we want every school to add 100 new students to your school over the next 90 days. Master Oliver was doing it in 30 and 60 days when he was expanding at 22 years old to go from 1 school to 5 schools. So the marketing systems and things have evolved over the years because the pandemic has created a whole new environment for marketing even, right? We have to, and a whole new system of teaching classes. You know, we never had to do virtual classes years ago. I mean, this is all new. But for us, it's actually a blessing in disguise. Why is that a blessing in disguise? Because it made us better. We had to get better to do what we were doing before, and we had to do even more to do better than we were doing before during the pandemic. And what has happened is we're able now, and we've learned to, you know, you have to learn how to adjust. You have to learn how to make adjustments when things aren't going right. Well, the government locks our schools down. What do? We go virtual. Well, we know virtual is good, but it's not as good as live. Everybody liked to be there. So we had schools that were locked down longer than others. Some schools got opened up sooner than others. So what did they do? Obviously, the school got open. They did the social distancing and followed all the guidelines and sanitized and did all those steps and made it safe, and students started coming back. Others still couldn't go back into their schools, so we got them doing it outdoors. Some were doing it in their parking lot, just like the restaurants started getting smart. They expanded the sidewalk. Some of the shopping centers had blocked off part of their center and put tables out there. You know, people that become successful don't do it by not thinking outside the box. You guys got to learn to think outside the box. It can't always be like it was before. You know, things evolve, and we've evolved, and we've made adjustments. Some people didn't have a parking lot, didn't have a grassed area in the front or the back or the side of the school. So what did they do? They found a park that was close to their school and started teaching classes in the park. Well, we were doing intros in the park. We were doing classes in the park. Students loved being outdoors and training outdoors. I don't know about you guys, but if I had a choice to train indoors in a school or outdoors in a nice day, I'm always going to choose outdoors as my preference. It just feels better to work out outside. You see, so we had different systems in place. So if we're going to become $1 million school, number one, what do we need to do first? Well, we've told everybody, but not everybody listens to what we say. Sometimes people hear what they want to hear, and they don't hear what they need to hear. And the first thing that we tell everybody, if you want to be $1 million school, number one, you've got to get your school price point set. You have to have the right pricing. This is no longer a $125 martial arts program. You are now, what we're teaching with the character development and the things that we do to make them better, not just in martial arts, but teaching them better life skills, becomes a lot more valuable. You can only put a certain value on physical activity, but when you add in character development and life skills, things that are going to affect their life, that are going to make them more successful, that is going to train leaders in life that they can apply in their education, they can apply in their future careers, they can apply in their success in life, now it becomes a lot more valuable. This is what private schools did. Private schools, look in your area, I don't care where you are, private schools are $15,000 to $20,000 a year, some more, maybe some a little bit less, but not much. And who's going to pay $15,000 to $20,000 a year for something that's free, or they've already paid for it out of their tax dollars, right? Hadn't everybody done that already? All public education is free. Well, how could a public school even think? How could a private school even think they could compete with a public school when it's free down the street? You guys are complaining when we say charge $200 or $300 for a basic program. Well, I can't do that because it's only $125 down the street. Well, what if it was free everywhere else and you wanted to charge $200 or $300? That's still not even anywhere close to what private schools are charging. And you know why private schools can charge that and get away with it and have a line of students waiting to get in and making them apply and then have to jump through hoops to even let them in. So when you do finally let them in so they can pay their $15,000 or $20,000, they're like, oh, yay, thank you. Oh, I'm so grateful. This is such a great school. Because you're making it elite. you're making it like that. When they get that type of feeling, why does people keep doing and going to that school? Because of the successes that that school has done. They know how to market their school. They show the people that went to their school, went to Yale, went to Harvard, got a scholarship, went to the Naval Academy. Well, guess what? We've got all those black belts in our schools that have gone to Naval Academy. One of my students graduated #1 in his class at the Naval Academy. You think that might be a big deal? He didn't go to a private school. He went to a public school. But he did martial arts from when he was 8 years old. And he was instructor certified, and he excelled because, and his parents give us 100% credit and give us testimonials. Well, now when we start sharing those testimonials in our intros, in sending an email out about your school, testimonials, see, you're selling your school with the successes of the ones and why it was so helpful, how they developed their child, how their confidence, how their successes in life attributed to the martial arts. That student who graduated #1 in his class, you know why he went to the Naval Academy? Because one of our other black belts went to the academy and graduated from the academy, and he heard his success story. He didn't graduate #1 in his class, but he became an underwater demolition expert and did more underwater demolition for the Navy than anybody. Went on to become a captain, became a base commander at the Naval Diving and Underwater Rescue Operations in Florida, in Panama City. And now he was #1. He wasn't #1 in his class, but this kid who saw that success of that black belt of ours who came through our school was thinking, well, if he did it, I can do it. I'm going to do it. And he became #1. He graduated with the medical. He went to Oxford. He had a full ride scholarship to Oxford after the Naval Academy. And so this is the kind of success stories. We've had people get scholastic scholarships to Yale, Harvard. We've had them get athletic scholarships. I have some of my students who play professional sports, who came up through our system that accredit the martial arts to them. So you see, you've got to put value on your school. When you say, I can only charge $150, and you hear Master Oliver saying, well, your basic program should be $297 and your leadership should be, $497, you shouldn't blink an eye. Well, I know that people don't always believe in what they're doing themselves. So Master Oliver will say, oh, come on, guys, just grow a pair and charge those higher prices. Well, I'm a little more realistic. I say, okay, I want you to be confident in what you're doing, because if you don't believe in your pricing, then neither is your future students. So I say, you've got 3 price points on your basic program. You got 3 price points on your leadership programs. #1, the low price is $200, medium is $250, and high is $300 on a basic program. I don't care where you start, because I know if you start with $200, I can get you to the $250 or $300 within a year and a half at the most. And I've done it so many times that everybody, when they finally raise their price and the enrollments even go up, they don't go down, they're like, wow, I'm kicking myself in the butt, because I know for 1 year, I just cost myself $200,000. If I would have raised my prices back then, I would have made $200,000 more. So, but you've got to believe in whatever price you do. When I'm doing the enrollment conference, and they've gone through the first intro and I'm closing them on the second, when I ask for the down payment of that initial amount, I don't just say it's 200. We have 3 price points on down payment. You do 200, you do 250, or you do 300. But what I say is the regular price, if I'm charging 200, the regular down payment is 400. If you finalize your paperwork today, you get half off, it's only 200. The regular tuition is normally 247. If you finalize your paperwork today, you save $50 per month, it's only $197. Now that's if you're coming in at the low price point. If you come at the medium, it's 500 down, you get half off is 250. The normal price is 297, you get 50 off is 247. So that's the medium price. The high price, regular price is 347. If you finalize it today, it's only 297. Down payment is normally 600. If you finalize your paperwork today, you get half off, it's only 300. So you see, we're getting with those prices anywhere from $400 to $600 down. Now that is very critical to the growth of your school, because now if I get $400 to $600 down, and let's just say 500 for round numbers, if I'm getting 500 to down off of every new student, and that's first month's tuition plus the down payment, right? So 500. If I get just 10 enrollments, that gives me $5,000 that I can invest in my marketing. Well, I don't want to just throw my money away in marketing, because we know that during the pandemic, that paid marketing works better than everything that's going, even though the other, if I do enough of it, that's why Master Oliver says do 15 or 20 things, because some will give you 1 or 2, some will give you none. So you'll still get enough to where we want you to have 15 or 20 minimum enrollments. You know, Leo Sanchez last month did 40 enrollments. Well, Amanda Olson, who's been with us for a long time, she did 23 enrollments, but did 20 renewals. A renewal is a 6-year program at $400. So her 20 programs, think of that, 72 months times 400. That's over $28,000 for each one of those contracts. That's over $600,000 worth of business just on renewals, not even counting her 23 enrollments. You see, what a lot of people miss is that I have to have enrollments to have renewals. If I renew everybody and I don't get any new people coming in, then I will flatline or go down, because if my active count is not above my dropout rate, my active count is going down, so that means your gross is going to go down. If my enrollment is above my dropout rate, based on how many it's above, that's how fast my school is going to grow. That's how quick the gross will go up. Everybody follow me? So my $1 million formula for everybody is for you to have not 500 or 1,000 students, even though we have some of our schools that have that many, is just to have 300 students. Have 300 students and have them pay $300 a month on the average. So if my low point was 250 and my high point was even just 350, that means my average contract is going to be about 300. Well, if I have a $300 student value and I have 300 students, Aaron, you're my mathematician. How much is that per month?
84,000.
That's $1 million school, but I said 300 students paying $300.
900,
Kyle's got it.
90.
$900,000. That's more than $1 million school.
That's right.
Okay, let's say I'm slow. I'm not as fast as somebody else. Okay, I only did 200 students. and they're paying me 30, they're paying me 300 per month, average student value. What is that? Go ahead, give those fingers again, Kyle. So now I'm a $60,000 school. Well, guys, I'm going to tell you, that's nothing to sneeze at. I don't mind a $60,000 school because I know a $60,000 school, that's at least 50% profit. At least. A lot of schools, they need for some schools, they need 15 or 20,000 to break even. So when they're doing 40, 50, 60, their profit goes up quickly. You see, when you get past your break-even point, that's what's covering all your expenses. There's not much tied into that upper part. So that's why most of that becomes profit. So that's why we've got to go through all of these systems. And I know we only have 10 minutes left. I'm not going to make you $1 million school in 10 minutes. But if you go through that list that I put down, and I'm just going to kind of hit some key points on each one of these, and then you're going to go to our Facebook page and you're going to find and go through that list and see which ones you're doing, because I guarantee you, when you do the things that I put on that list, you will be on your way to $1 million school. And I'll tell you, I've done this over and over again. Out of our members, we have about 25% that are $1 million and over. We have another 25% that are in the 50 and above. We have another 25% are in the 30 to 50, and then our bottom 25% is below 30 because they're working to get up to those other levels. You follow me? So where you want to be and how fast you want to be there is going to be a combination of three things. How many new students can you get? So in other words, how can you ramp up your marketing? And am I ramping it up by design, or is my marketing happening per chance? Let me see, I haven't done, I need to do something this month. I think I'll try this. See, that's by chance. By plan and design is to work out your marketing plan and have a monthly marketing plan. And every month you're going to reevaluate it and apply the things that work this month to next month, things that didn't work, see if I can tweak or learn how to do those better so I can do them next month, and see what else somebody else is doing so I can apply and learn from my peers. You see, that's the other thing about being in this group. We learn from each other. When people are doing certain things and they have certain successes, all we have to do is copy what they're doing. See, we don't call that plagiarism here. We call it being smart. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Find out what's working and do it. And we know it all starts with price point. So you pick your price. I put all of that outlined on step one on my quick start $1 million school formula. Step two is the marketing that Master Moody was talking about. Number three, step three is keeping your stats. If you don't have stats, then you have no plan, because your plan is based on nothing but guess, nothing but hope, nothing but cross my fingers. If I have stats, and if I have stats for last year's average, and I can compare that to what I'm doing this year, I can beat last year if I have a goal to work for. See, the reason I like stats is because they make your goal very clear. They give you a vision of what you need to do. Your stats will tell you how many leads do you need. Not another school, but you, based on your results last year, if you had this many leads, you generated this much gross. Well, without getting any smarter, just doing what you did last year, all I have to do is increase my leads and my gross is going to go up because I proved last year I could even do it. Everybody understand why leads are so important? But now maybe I got dumber. Maybe I'm not as good with my leads this year. Well, I've got to look to see where the breakdown is. That's why I put those key things: leads, appointments, intro, enrollments, renewals, active count, total gross. Those are all critical. If I don't have those things in there and don't know what they are, I don't know what to shoot for. Last month, if I was better than last year's average, then I'm doing the right thing. If I'm below last year's average, then I got to change something to make it better next month. You follow me? I don't have to wait till the end of the month to make my adjustments. I got to make my adjustments on a weekly basis. I have to see how this week was going, how close to were we 25% of our goal for the month? And if we weren't, then we're behind schedule. I have to know what I'm doing on a daily and weekly basis to stay on track to reach that monthly goal. Because my monthly goal is no more than taking the monthly goal, and I'll write this down. I didn't put this on the paper here. Your monthly goal, you divide it by the number of working days. I love October. You know why? Because it's a 31 day, but even more importantly, it's got 27 work days. That's more work days than almost any month of the year. So I have 27 days to generate more leads, appointments, intros, and all that other stuff. You follow me? And if I take that monthly goal that I've set on each of those steps, based on what my last year's average are, based on what I did last month, I'm going to set a new goal, and then I'm going to divide it out, and this is how much I have to get each day. And if I'm not reaching my daily goal, now I have to readjust for tomorrow. I take what I did today, subtract that from that total monthly goal. Whatever's remaining, I divide by 26 now, because I've already used up one of my days. This is my new daily total. You see how I do that? So every day I'm readjusting my daily total based on what I've accomplished so far this month. I could have started off in real gangbusters the first couple days. So now my daily goal is even less than I had to have at the very beginning of the month, right? I could have done worse. So now my daily goal starts going up. You know, I've gone down to the last week of the month and getting down to the last 2 days of the month and have to do 5,000 each day to reach my cash gross. Well, that's not easy to do, but we've done it. How would I do it when I get down to a crunch like that and I need 5,000 tomorrow and 5,000 the day after? What's my ace in the hole that I can throw in there sometimes? Kyle?
Paid in full, sir.
Absolutely. My paid in full was always my ace in the hole to help me reach my goal. I would always have a couple paid in fulls in the works so I could capitalize on those at the end of the month. And I will get a paid in full that's a $5,000, a $10,000, a $20,000 sometimes. That does a whole lot to helping you reach that goal. You follow me? And I know you guys, Kyle, have used that system already to your benefit.
Yes, sir.
And so, guys, you've got to take responsibility. If you set a goal, and the way that I've designed all this and the way that I've done all this and the way I look at all this is the same way that I became a world champion in kickboxing. You know, I was the first world champion in light heavyweight division in America. But I had a goal. I didn't just all of a sudden bump into that. That I had been planning for the last 10 years before that. I became #1 in America out of all the black belts in the country. In 1974 and 1975, I was the #1 black belt fighter in America. Out of everybody in our NASCA system, Black Belt Magazine did a national rating of all the tournaments and ranked the top 10 fighters. And I was #1 in 74 and 75. In 73, I was #2. But I was working to be #1. So I had a plan every day that my workout had to be a certain thing. And if I didn't do it, then I had to make it up the next day. And if I didn't work out, then I knew reaching my goal was going to be a little bit longer. So whatever your goal is, if you want to be $1 million school, all you have to do is commit it to writing, put that down on a card somewhere. Bruce Lee did it. Chuck Norris did it. So many other successful people, not just martial artists, wrote those things down on a card and put it on their mirror. I'm going to be $1 million school by this date. Well, they just didn't do that. They set a game plan. That's just like we're doing with our students. We want them to be a black belt by this day. But to help them reach that, they're going to be a gold belt by this day and a green belt by this day. And they have those intermediate steps that they know they're reaching closer to that goal. Does everybody follow me on that? And the one thing that I cannot give you, I can give you the knowledge. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. I cannot motivate you to do it. I can try to, but you're the one that has to take that initiative. You're the one that has to have the gasoline in your tank to be able to have the energy to do it. Well, I had experience of doing that because I was training all 12 of our junior schools, and I had a goal for them to reach certain things. And we had a lot of our guys that became world champions and national champions. But even more importantly, for the school, they became highest grossing in our organization. And they set new heights that everybody else. You've heard the expression, a rising tide lifts all boats. What that means is if the gross goes up at one of my schools, now everybody else has a new goal to work for. You know, I heard Sebastian last month was so excited that him and his brother reached an all-time school record last month. You see, and when you set your goals, that's how you reach higher. When you see other people reaching their goals and you see them being successful, when we see Leo get 40 enrollments, then we can't say, well, you can't do 40 enrollments during the pandemic, because he just did it. So this is a rising tide. When you see all of our schools that are doing 80, 90, 100, and 1,000 plus, if they can do it, you can do it, because they're not hiding anything from you. We're giving you the same systems we gave them. The only difference that some people make it quicker than others and some people never make it is because some people just don't do it. That's why the Nike commercial is so, I love that. Just do it. Quit making excuses why you can't, and just get off your butt and do what you have to do to make it. Because the only reason you haven't made it is you haven't done enough stuff and you haven't followed the system. See, it's easier for you guys to do it than anybody else because there's so many people that have already done it. The hardest to get was when I became world champion. Nobody in our organization had been world champion before me, but after I became world champion, we had another half a dozen or more became world champions because people didn't think it was possible. How could somebody from our school, I don't care where you are, be the best in the world? How could your school, wherever you are, be $1 million school? Because number one, they had somebody who had the discipline and the attitude to succeed at all costs, to do whatever it takes to follow the system, follow the plan. So we're out of time, but I want you to look at that. And then if you have questions about all of those things, write them down. You can post them on Facebook and we can answer them before. You can bring them up next week. If you post it on Facebook, and remember the procedure, we like you to do a little research on anything you post before you post it. So use the search function, see if it's some information on there. The reason I like the Facebook is because when somebody posts a question, you'll get answers from a lot of different sources. And you'll see videos attached to it. You'll see different scripts attached to it. You'll hear discussions about it. What worked for somebody, what didn't work for somebody. So it's a lot more in depth than just one person answering it. So make sure you do that. And I've had people occasionally, text me or email me a particular question, and I'll tell them to put it on Facebook. And I don't do that because I don't want to answer your question directly. It's because if I answer it for you, I'm going to have to answer that same question another 10 or 15 times, because if you have the question, so does a bunch of other people. So when you put your question up, there's somebody out there who goes, wow, I'm glad he asked that. I was getting ready to ask that, or I wanted to ask that, but I was afraid to, or I didn't want to, or I didn't know I could, or whatever, right? So look at that stuff. That is a bundle of information in those Facebook. Every one of those posts, go through the things that are on there, because every one of those questions and things that people ask, all those can help you. And the chances are 80% of them you haven't even thought to ask yet. And you go on there and you go, oh, wow, I need to know that. I never knew to even ask that. Oh, we can do that? Oh, I didn't know I could do that. You follow me? So that's why that Facebook page becomes so valuable. And of course, these meetings, being on there live and listening to this stuff, and if you have any questions, write them down. Because if I'm talking and you don't want to interrupt, by the time I finish talking, you're going to forget what that question was. So write it down, because you notice how many times we ask, does anybody have any questions? Sometimes people had one and they go, well, I had one. And they'll even say, well, I had one, I forgot it now. So write those questions down, ask them. If you're shy to ask them in front of everybody, then post it on Facebook. And I'm going to tell you, there's no question you ask that is not a stupid question. I have people say all the time, I didn't want to ask it because I didn't want to ask a stupid question, or I thought I should know that. You see, it's kind of like your students. Maybe they should know it, but if they don't know it, we got to make sure that they do to learn it and know it. And the only way we do is to get in their head a little bit. And we get in their head because they let us know what's going on. And you guys got to do that too. See, I never know how much of this stuff you're absorbing, how much of it goes in one ear and out the other, and how some of it really catches on and works for you. So unless you give us some feedback, and I know Kyle, Stephen has been real good with that, with posting things. Thanks for that. That helped. We did this and that because of that. And so any of those kind of things, when other people hear that, then it makes them think, oh, wow, I should have done that because they did do it and it did work. And I was thinking I did it before and it didn't work, so I'm not going to do it again. You see, just remember, if you did something before and it didn't work, the reason it didn't work is not because you did it, it's because the way you did it. It's like, it always reminds me of that kid that I'm showing a sidekick and how to set it up with a fake or something to get it in. And he goes and he comes back and he says, well, I'm not using that sidekick anymore because every time I went to use it, I got hit. And I said, well, the way you were trying to use it is why you got hit. It wasn't because you were using the Sidekick. It was how you were trying to use it. So it's the same thing with all this knowledge that we give you. It's how you learn to use it and utilize it. Okay? I hope I didn't talk too much and fry your ear off. But anybody, any questions before we sign off today?
I had a
Yes,
quick
ma'am.
question.
Okay, Mrs. Moon first.
Okay.
Yes, you know what? I asking you a couple days ago. I tried the Facebook, look it up, on the uniform backpack, small backpack.
Right?
Yeah. So, do I have any place to post this? I can look at it in the Facebook. I tried it last night, but then I didn't find it.
Then put the question, say, I want to order backpacks. Has anybody ordered backpacks before for their school? There's a lot of martial arts supply places, but I don't even go to martial arts supply because their prices are real high.
Yeah.
If you're talking about the little backpack you're going to kind of give out to the intros or something, or for a marketing piece,
Yes.
then we go to marketing places. But post that question on our Facebook, and then we'll get a couple links for you to go to and get some more information for other people. And they have a lot of other stuff. You know, we do water bottles. We do the backpack thing. We've done the wristband things,
Yes.
T-shirts, all kinds of stuff. Yes.
No, I do a lot of things too, but in anyone that is a member, they already do. That's why I asking you.
Yeah. Has
Any-
anybody done the backpack thing as a giveaway? And we've only got a few people left on here. So, yeah. So put the question, because it's going to answer it for a lot of people, because you should be doing stuff like that. You know, we
Yeah.
have water bottles and all that other kind of stuff. So anything like that, to help them. And that's why we like to give out a uniform in that intro and I like to do it on the second intro, not the first, because now they're going to be wearing that uniform, you know, heck, it's a good time. It can even be a Halloween costume. I don't care.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, guys?
I did, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this one is just a quick question. So we use your introductory agreement,
Right.
and so it works amazing with the kids. But with the adults, we were doing some role playing yesterday as part of our staff training. And we were doing an adult, and we kind of noticed it doesn't have anywhere for like spouse, or like how to know if the adult themselves are the decision maker. On the child one, it has if it's a single parent. If they say no, then we know that there's two people involved. But do you guys use a separate sheet for adults, or would you just kind of ask
Well,
that?
I'm not sure which sheet you're using, because the sheet that I have, it not only lists all of the kids in the family, but then it lists the parent and both the husband and the wife. And then there's a section that's a hold harmless agreement too. Is that
Okay.
the one you're using?
I saw that on the training last week. This is the one that used. This is from the Quick Start site.
Yeah.
But
Why
I
don't
saw
you do this? Why don't you take a picture of that and post it so I can see it? And then I'll look at it, and then post your question that went with that. And then I'll figure it out for you, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And then it'll straighten it out for somebody else too. Okay.
Kyle, are you in the Facebook group?
Yes, ma'am.
Good deal.
Okay. We all set, guys? Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Bye-bye, guys. And remember, these are all recorded.